Welcome to Mom Boss Chronicles, the show that celebrates the incredible journey of mom bosses who are conquering the world of business and motherhood. We are your hosts, Jen,
Danielle, and Sue.
Make sure to like and subscribe and share with your mom friends today.
Welcome back to Mom Boss Chronicles. I'm really excited today to have a friend on. I'm super impressed by her. She is a fellow corporate dropout too, entrepreneur. Her name is Meg O'Leary. She is the founder of A Restful Night, and she is a sleep training consultant certified. And I've been following your journey since the very beginning. One, I would just want to start by saying how proud I am of you for taking something that you feel passionate about and running with this and starting your own business. I mean, it's not easy. You're also a mother of 4, I mean, woo, girl, get it.
Your kids must be good sleepers.
Well, I joke it's why we have 4, right? Like, I mean, I wouldn't have 4 if they didn't sleep so well, but they are good sleepers, thankfully.
Yeah. How did you get started on the journey of A Restful Night? Just curious how that kind of inception started.
Yeah. I mean, so I have 4 kids. My oldest is Fiona. I talk about my kids all the time, everywhere. They're like part of the brand. But Fiona was like force behind my passion for sleep. So Sue knows my husband, Chris. They were colleagues prior to, this new life that you have. But said to me like, oh, Meg, you're going to be such a great mom if you get sleep. Like, and so when Fiona was born, it was like, I kind of dove into it. I started reading all the blogs and, following all the different sleep groups. And I just like immediately was like fascinated by it. And she was a wonderful baby, but I mean, sleep wise, she like fell right in and she was like sleeping through the night at 10, 11, 12 weeks.
Oh my God.
And then we welcomed our second baby, like 15 months later. So like pretty quickly. And I did it again. And my friends kept saying, oh my gosh, Meg, like you're so good at this. Like you're so lucky you have babies that sleep. And I would just start talking to people about it and, sharing what I had done. And people were just really fascinated. So I just casually started helping people, like just friends would just reach out to me and be like, what should I do? My child's waking up or this. And then COVID hit. I mean, everyone's lives changed, right? So when COVID hit, I was working at American Express in the travel sector and like the world shut down, right? Like travel shut down and nothing really was happening. And so I was furloughed, got pregnant with my third baby. And then, I left corporate. I sort of said, you know what, like this is too much. We're in a global pandemic. I'm pregnant. I've got 2 kids, like, under the age of 3. And this is just mayhem. And so I left corporate amicably and like happily. And it was like the best decision I ever made. I left amazing friends. And I sort of said, you know what, I'm going to figure out the next chapter. Had the third baby. And then I sat down with my husband, who is like my super fan. And I said, listen, like, what are we going to do? Like, what's in it? And he was the one, and Sue knows him, so she could probably see him saying this, that was like, you got to follow your passion. Like, you're really good at this. And what's the harm in trying? That was like his take. And so I set forth, I got certified, and born was A Restful Night. And I never thought that it would become what it is today. Like, I really thought this would be a passion project that I would, just kick off and sort of see where it went. It was a low cost of entry to get started, but boy, like it's really taken off, and I'm just so thrilled with it. I love what I do.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. And you are following a passion, right? I think that is the beauty in that, like when you do focus your efforts and forge forward on something that you feel in your heart and you're working from your heart, it blossoms. Like you can't even envision it, right? But it just happens. And like that being said, you do have 2 other women that work with you, correct? Like other folks that you've added to the team.
Yeah. And you're right. Like every spare minute I want to pour into my business because I just love it. Every family I talk to, like I love. Yeah, so it's myself and I have 3 colleagues, Sarah, Jess, and we recently added a third sleep consultant. And then we have a virtual assistant who does like all of our client communications and, helps with scheduling. She's like the mastermind behind the scenes, but it's a team. It's a company, which is, like I said, incredible.
So cool.
That's awesome. And of course, like, I do know Chris, and I can hear
Yes.
him. Like, he's your biggest supporter, as he should be, of course. But it's so comforting, right? When you have the people you love the most and you're closest to being your cheerleaders as well to like encourage you to move forward. And, and I think too, like, and I look back on corporate with mixed feelings, but I think that I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for that background too. And I think in your case too, like you've you've been pushed to the limit, I'm sure, of getting things done and doing what you need to do, and the deadlines and this and that has probably helped you kind of organize to get this company started.
I mean, I get asked all the time, what is the hardest part, or, what do you think's made you so successful? And I always joke, like, if you worked at Amex, American Express, like your blood runs blue for life. Like you're like Amex for life. And everything I learned in corporate, and I had so many different jobs there, I use every single day. It is 100% what makes like the business go, because I did versions of this in different jobs. And now I'm just taking that experience and applying it to something that I love and is mine. And so it's on like steroids right now. Right. Mm-hmm. So yes, like without corporate experience, this would not be, I'm sure, half as successful as it is.
Right. And then also being in control of your business and your life and autonomous in your schedule, you are available for your children, which is super important.
Yes. Although I will say, call me all the time. I actually had a networking call this morning with another mom who we actually sleep trained. You'd be surprised how many people come to me after we've helped them and say, oh my gosh, tell me a little bit more about this work that you do. I'm like fascinated. I want to do it. And a lot of people come to me and say, I really want a flexible, I really want a flexible environment. I want to have more time. I have never worked so hard in my life.
Yeah.
And I would say that, yes, I'm flexible in the sense that I run my own schedule, right? I can go to field day. I can do this. I'm not answering to someone, which is what the flexibility part is. Yep. But I live my life in like 15-minute increments. I mean, I always joke with Chris as a lawyer, like, the billables, it's like my life is like 15-minute increments. And if one thing deviates, it's like, here we go. I got to, reshuffle everything around. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's definitely flexible, but it's so much more work than I ever thought it would be, in a good way.
Yes. Right. It's like, how much shit can I pack into this day?
Oh my God.
Right?
I'm like,
get it done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I start my day at like 5:30 and I end my day like at my computer at like 10:30. I'm like, all right, we got to shut it down.
That's great. I love it.
My kids, almost 7, half, 3.5, 14 months.
Wow. So you have your hands full.
She's got 2 girls and 2 boys.
2 girls and 2 boys. And if I had $1 for every time someone said, oh, you have your hands full, like I probably wouldn't need to run this business, because everyone sees me walking down the street, with my double stroller and all this. And they're like, wow, you've got a lot of kids.
You're like, yep, but they all sleep.
They all sleep. And I mean, they're part of why I do it. I mean, fortunate position. Like, my husband is incredible. He works really hard and we have a great life, but I would not be happy if I didn't work. Like having an identity outside of just being a mom is incredibly important to me. And my kids see that. They see it and they play sleep consultant. Like they will like get their babies and be like, oh, I have a 4-month-old baby. What should their schedule be, mom? Like, should I wake them and feed them? And they're proud of me. And that's like, it's something that I think having girls too, like young girls, it's important for them to see me doing something, even if it's not a full, even if I'm not out of the home working, right? I work virtually out of my home, but I love having this identity outside of being just a mom. I like being the mom boss and the mom,
Yeah. Like you're absolutely setting the tone for them to know that they can do whatever it is that they, that they feel passionate about too. And they can take a chance. And, if mom can do it, we can do it too. Exactly. And obviously you're always going to be their cheerleader, as well. I love that. That's so incredible.
Thank you.
I have a question because I'm like the worst ever with my kids and sleeping. Like my son slept in bed with us until he was like 4. And then I was like, all right, he would start the night in his bed and then come into our room around like 11. And then I had my daughter and she's 3 and fully sleeps in bed with it. Like I just don't know how to get my kids to sleep. I mean, my son now, it's great. I tuck him in, shut the light off, and I
He's
leave
fine.
the room.
Yeah.
And I never thought that would happen.
Right.
And now I'm back in that same boat. And it's like, can you sleep train a 3-year-old? Like, can't lock her in a room.
So you can sleep train a child at any age. I mean, we help families from, 0, I'm coming home from the hospital and I'm terrified, to a 9-year-old that I just finished with 2 weeks ago. So there's different applications of sleep training depending upon the situation, how old the child is, the family dynamic, everything. So yes, you can 100% sleep train a 3-year-old, but the most important piece of that puzzle is you. So it's not about at this age and really at any age, it's not just about like shutting the door and being like, figure it out, good luck. Believer in all things parenting, that you can lead your kids with faith and you can lead them with fear. And when you're sleep training, especially in your situation where, this is all your daughter knows, right? She's been co-sleeping with you for what has been her whole life. And so to sort of just like, pivot and be like, tonight you're sleeping here is not really fair to anyone.
Right.
So when we work with kids that are coming from sort of that baseline, it's very much process. It's about like talking to them and sort of setting this new expectation, establishing how you're going to do it together. When I work with kids that are 3, 4, 5-year-olds, like they know Coach Meg, I send them videos, I motivate them because it's a big change, right? And it doesn't have to be this like scary, we're doing this tonight, but it does have to be a movement that the family together, takes. So we do it. You are the most important variable, and having a plan and knowing that it's not going to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would just do it, right? You would just be like, all right, I'm going to do it. But there comes a point with a 3-year-old where how to do it. And then it turns into, do they want to do it? Right. And so there's this pivotal point in when we're working with families with this age, anytime a baby or toddler or preschooler is out of a crib, there's a pivotal point in the 2-week program, which is what we're known for, where it shifts from teaching to like making sure they have the will and like the desire to do it. And so there's always a couple of hard days in the middle where you get to this pivotal point, and that's where the parent is most important.
Okay.
But you can do it. You just have to want to. And if it's working for you, like that's the thing. It's like, there's so many different variations of parenting, like sleep training aside, right? And, there's not a one size fits all. And what works for one family may not work for another. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's working for you right now. And if there comes a point where it's not, then you call me and we'll get things going.
Sort it out.
2 weeks, your life can be changed. Imagine that.
Yes,
having your bed back.
It'd be nice to have your bed back to yourself.
And not having her up until 9:30 at night.
Yes.
I do help with that too, like establishing times. And
when we work with a family, it's like we move into your life for 2 weeks. We are looking at the full picture, especially with toddlers, because it's not just about sleep. Typically, if parents are having, bedtime battles like stalling or, the kids running out of the room or won't, I hear a lot of like, oh, my child won't let dad put him to sleep or won't. And I say to myself, like, okay, let's repeat that. They won't let. How old are they? Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot about looking at the full picture. So we look at, what is your bedtime routine? What is their schedule? How does your child eat? Are you wandering around the house trying to feed them dinner, or are they actually sitting at the table and eating dinner? Are they napping? Are they getting an iPad in 5 a.m. when they wake up and it's not time for you to get up? So we look at everything, because a lot of times even some subtle changes can make a big difference.
Yeah. And that I noticed too with her, the days that she naps, she's like fully like, it's like 9:30, sometimes 10 o'clock, doesn't want to go to sleep.
Oh yeah, she fights it more.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm rested.
Yeah, but the days that she doesn't nap, she'll fall asleep much, much earlier.
Yeah.
But then she's like a monster. Like it's like she needs the nap, but
and then dealing with her in the evening.
She's like the witching hour when she doesn't nap. Yeah, she's wild.
I feel your 3-year-old's similar. Yeah.
So that nap, that 3-year mark is the tough one, because to your point, it's a long day, especially, if they're in daycare or preschool or even the summer with like, going to the pool or the beach. But it's important to remember that sleep, regardless of any age, is a total number. Okay.
Right.
So a 3-year-old needs like 11 to 12 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. And so if they're napping 2 hours or 90 minutes, that's going to eat to that total number. And now all of a sudden at night, they may only need 9 hours of sleep. So a lot of times I'm the bearer of bad news when it comes to like a 3 or 4-year-old. And I say to the parent, listen, we got to prioritize like overnight sleep, because that's where your child's getting that restorative sleep that's going to help them throughout the day. So it is a little bit of like a vicious cycle too. Like they have a tough night and then they need the nap and then they have a tough night. So we try to work to get you into like predictability. That's my thing, is like, I want predictable, consistent quality. It's not about like a certain number. It's about what's going to work for this family and how do we get you into a place where it's predictable. So you're not in that vicious cycle.
Right. That's so interesting.
Just give her a call after.
Yeah. Can you come live with me?
100. I was at the doctor the other day, and the doctor's, oh, what do you do for work? And I was like, he's like, oh, come here, I want to introduce you. And next thing you know, like 30 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I gotta go. Like I'm talking to this lady with her about her 8-month-old. But when you love what you do, you're happy to share feedback wherever, right? So,
for sure. I feel like every mom could have that story about sleep.
Sleep is like the biggest thing, especially with a newborn or like that first year. I mean, it's an adjustment. People literally like go crazy when they're sleep deprived. Right. So,
and I think that, part of why I call the company A Restful Night, when you're branding your company and you're thinking about what, I have a marketing background, like what do I want to stand for? And what do I want people to, to think about when they work with us? It's not just about like getting your baby to sleep through the night. For me, it's about reducing that anxiety as a parent on like the night ahead, because I work with so many moms and parents generally that have this like pit in their stomach when the night, the moon comes up and the sun goes down. It's like, here we go. Like, what does this look like? Am I going to be up all night? Are we going to have a bad night? Are we going to have a good night? And as a mom of 4, that like I tuck my kids into bed and I'm like, okay, are we watching like Jack Ryan or Ozark? Right. Like, it's just, it's
such a routine.
I think that's a big part of it. And we're in like a mental health crisis, right? And like moms are a big part of that. And the strains on our shoulders are extreme. And I mean, for all parents, but moms, I mean, let's get real, right? Moms in particular, the strain is really heavy. And so many moms are like, I haven't slept in years. I haven't slept in, and it's not sustainable. And I wish that this service was covered by insurance, because it should be, right?
It should be.
It's like anything else. If you're struggling with something, you should be able to get the help you need. And unfortunately, it's not. It's like a luxury service, and sleep is not a luxury. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Totally.
Part of our health.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like Michael was pretty much always a good sleeper, thankfully. But I obviously in the beginning, when they get up in the middle of the night, anytime I would hear him stir, the level of anxiety, my heart would start pounding. It's like, it's so startling, right? Like, and then that's it. Like, even if they do end up going back to sleep, then you're like up and you're thinking about the million and one things that have to go. And they're really... I love sleep. Everyone needs sleep. You are not yourself when you are sleep deprived. And again, like, and it does suck that it's a luxury, a luxury service. It shouldn't be. It should be part of insurance. But to show up and be the best version of yourself requires rest and and you're doing, and you, like you said, like, when the kids are going to bed, and at that time, that your time starts and you're able to decompress from your day.
That's such a huge thing that I'm missing. And I think like in my marriage too, like she's up until most of the time my husband falls asleep before she does. So there's no like downtime or together time in our day,
Not a child.
So that is, I think, like if we had 2 hours after the kids went to bed, or if I were alone, like just having that time, I think is so important. And
absolutely.
That's what I'm, definitely missing that.
And it's like, that's part of why I love this work. When I worked in corporate, I remember always being like, I'm not I'm not saving lives here, like let me turn the email off or do this. And it's part of why I think I'm obsessed with my job, because like I am changing lives, and I can say that full-heartedly.
Yes.
And we get that, I'll get a message from a parent who's maybe working with one of my colleagues, and they'll say, I'm so grateful for your team. You've changed our lives. You've changed the dynamic of our family. And there's so many benefits of sleep training that people don't think about. And it's everything from, you were talking about like your relationship with your spouse, your partner, it's like, we have this deep-seated resentment. If you're the default parent and you look over and you see, your co-parent, like
you're hitting,
and you're like, so there's that, there's this behavior piece that parents don't realize. Like when your kids are sleep deprived and not operating at this level, like functioning at a level because they're just not getting it, there's that. And probably the mental health one is another one. And then lastly, like newborns, I have helped so many parents who will call me and say, I'm not sure I can sleep train because my child's just not eating enough. And I actually just did a post about this today. And we finish our 2-week program, we'll have babies that are feeding and gaining and like they're thriving. And before, the mom or dad was like, we can't get this baby to eat. So there's so many positives that come out of it that I don't think people realize.
Yeah, I bet.
I love that. I love it.
I think people hear sleep training and they think that I think they think of a harsh, like,
right. Let them try it out.
Yeah, like I could never handle that. So that's why I didn't do it.
Yeah. They're like, it's going to be bad. They're thinking of the negative before they're thinking of like all the benefits that can come.
I know. And that's like part of what I try. I mean, as a business owner, you try to figure out, okay, what's your platform, right? Like, what is it that you want to stand for? And, there's things that are just non-negotiables, like safe sleep, for example, like that's a non-negotiable for us. Like we are just maniacally focused on safe sleep. But, it's like, sleep training has this like stigma, and I try to break it down. It's like, it's not about horrible. Like it doesn't have to be horrible. Like, yeah, there is crying. Babies cry, kids cry. If I could figure out how to not make my kids cry, I'd be a bajillionaire, right? Forget sleep training. But it's just not reality. Like they cry when they're frustrated. Kids cry when they don't get their way. All of these things. Babies cry when they're just tired. And so a big part of what we do is we teach parents how to understand what to look for in that cry, because not every cry is created equal. And we've sleep trained, over 1,000 families at this point in the last couple of years. And now with technology, these cameras, the Nanit camera particularly, we watch your camera the first night and we coach these parents live. And that's part of what our 2-week program is. Like we will dedicate that time and basically be like, we're in your back pocket, coaching you through what is probably a difficult part. Yeah. But the crying is triggering for a lot of parents. Me, I'm like, this point,
Right. Yeah.
But it's, when you're a new parent, or a very like sensitive parent, or you've had a traumatic experience, moms that call me and say, I had a colicky baby and crying is triggering because it's all I heard in the first 2 or 3 months. You have to approach that parent from a different lens than maybe a different parent. So it's a big part of why like coaching is helpful, right? It's like, we look at you as a person, not just picking out a book and like being like, okay, I'm going to do this method. Right.
Yeah.
And
not
each child
the same.
Yeah. And each child is different. So you have 4 kids. Are they different? Did you notice in their sleep patterns and their behaviors?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, their behaviors without a doubt. I mean, 100% different. They're all very, it's like parenting each of them is like a different, I feel like I'm like hat, like, or like whatever, math. Their sleep, I think, is fairly consistent. And I think it's because I was really consistent. Right. I applied the same techniques I teach to parents, awesome. On newborn calls to my newborn. So I never, the fun fact about me is like, I never sleep trained my kids, which, maybe that's bad branding, but like, I applied a lot of the techniques that I give parents 100%, but I never had this moment where I was like, okay, Chris, we're doing it tonight. We're sleep training. And it was because from day one, I applied all these techniques. So kids, I mean, my kids have, I've got a sensitive one. I've got a very, like one that's just very, how do you describe it? I don't know. She's determined.
Marie or Fiona.
Yes, Mairead is my determined one.
I had the opportunity to meet the both of them, Fiona and Mairead, at the Back Bring Your Kids to Work, and Fiona is such an the oldest. Like, she's such a little old soul.
Aww.
Like, oh, so sweet. And Mairead too, of course. They were really sweet with Michael.
Aww.
Yeah, Mairead is spicy. She's a little spicy, and she's like very strong-willed. And so you have to manage that differently. And then who knows Declan is, he's 3. He cries over everything. He's got 2 older sisters, he doesn't get his way, so he cries. And then the baby, who knows? He's still so young, we'll see who he resembles. But I do think a lot of your kids is so much related to how you parent. So I do think every child is different, and there's going to be different ways you have to manage that. But generally speaking, I think that your energy as a parent, regardless of what you're doing, is what directly impacts your child. And I'm sure we all see this, right, on a daily basis is, if you're running late for work and the morning was going smoothly, and then you realize like you're going to miss your train and you move into manic mode, your kids feel that, right? And then everything falls apart. So the same is to be said for sleep training, for soothing a newborn and everything. If you have a parent and they're like, I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh, like this baby won't stop crying. You're going to exacerbate it. So a lot of what we teach is like, how do you like calm yourself in that moment? Because you are the biggest variable to calming your child in all aspects of parenting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It starts with you.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
It starts with you. Yes.
So true.
Add that to my little, you just gave me a content idea there.
Yeah.
Tagline.
So in terms of, when you're bringing parents on and new folks, I guess, like, is it like your pricing packaging? Is it like packages or is it a subscription, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah. So, the good news is, as a small business owner, you constantly get to evolve as you see new needs. And so right now, the way that we most commonly work with parents is our 2-week program. The 2-week program is like our full support, hand holding. By the end of the 2 weeks, you have an Olympic sleeper. Like that's the 2-week program. And I would say, 80-85% of parents come to us for that. And it's like a one-time fee. You basically pay for the service. We kick off, we do an intake, we do an assessment, we write you a custom plan, and then we handhold you and we coach you for 2 weeks, with including that first night where we live coach you. And then after the 2 weeks, we graduate you. It's not like you're hanging on forever, although I have parents who really do want to hang on forever. I joke I've made more friends in these last 3 years than I ever thought I would need. Give you one call to use within 30 days. So the idea of our program is, it's a package. It's one package that you purchase. And what we're teaching you is not just to get your child sleep trained, but we're empowering you as a parent to know how to keep at it long term. So that's why, that 2-week program is most popular. And then we have other sort of programs. Most commonly, people will call me and say, hey, I need a tune-up, right? Like, I worked with your team and we were doing great, but kids are not robots, right? They get sick, they have regressions. And so we'll do like a tune-up call where someone will book that with me. And then again, that's like a one-time thing. We don't want you back. You know what I mean? Like, we want, if you graduate a 2-week program, we want you to be like, you have all the tools to keep going. But at the same time, it's also like therapy. I have parents that book a monthly call with me because they just want to know what's coming and they want to talk about what's going on, or they have a trip, or they're thinking about potty training. And, I'm a parent coach too. Like, so there's a lot of that goes into it, but I have ideas about like subscriptions, and I want to do like a Facebook group and get like more of a community. It's just time. Like, I need more time.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Let's add another 10 hours to the day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what I could do with that.
Right. Do you does anyone ever purchase like as a gift card or anything like that from you guys?
Yeah, I've had a couple of those. Not personal decision to sleep train.
Yeah.
So I think people are a little hesitant about it. A handful have, but usually people either find us because like their friends use us, or Instagram, and then they reach out on their own. I've had expectant moms reach out and say, oh, my mom's going to buy this for me for my shower gift. And I'm like, I love that. Like, what a great gift. But no, gift cards are not, are not a huge part right now. Maybe too, because I think it's that personal thing, if
Yeah,
someone's
that makes
going
a lot
to do
of
it,
sense.
it's like signing someone up for like, oh, I signed you up for Weight Watchers. Here's your
Right.
gift card. It's like, I'm not sure. You got to like want to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for
And you
sure.
can help people, I guess, across the whole country.
I mean, I've helped families in France, Israel,
Worldwide.
yeah. It's interesting. We have a lot of families. If I were to think about the markets that we're most active in, it's definitely Northeast. So, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Philly, like down the Eastern corridor there, we have like a big presence. But the Bay Area, California is huge for us. And the reason why is because when people do the 2-week program, you remember they're 3 hours behind me, right?
Yes, behind. Yeah.
I'm tired. They're 3 hours behind me. And so a big issue that parents have are early morning wake ups, right? So my child's waking up at 4 a.m, 5 a.m. And so, it's 7 my time or 8 my time. And so they can reach out to me and be like, hey, Johnny's up. What should I do? And I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Here's what we're going to do. So California, particularly like Marin County, Bay Area, we get tons of families from there, which is hard because night one, I got to like set my alarm and be up. Like, I'm like, Chris is a night owl. I'll be like, I'm going to go to bed. I got a family starting. Can you wake me up at midnight? And then I'm like, I'm on.
Yeah, you're like the night nurse.
Maybe you need a West Coast sleep consultant on your team.
I know. I have one of our colleagues is in Central Time, so she does a good portion of the West Coast family. She's a trooper with that because I'm not a night person. Like I like to go to bed at like I tuck myself in at like 9:30, 10.
Yeah,
you like your sleep.
Yeah,
I because I'm up at 5:30. I'm a morning person. Like I love to like get my coffee and like work, and that's like my time.
Before anyone's like, Mom,
Yes, exactly. And then you're like, if I hear Mom one more time by 7:15,
Yes. How did you find your teammates?
Oh, good question. So as part of getting certified, I was certified through a program that's called the Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. And so the woman who runs the program, she's a great mentor. She's an awesome businesswoman, and I've stayed connected with her. And so when I was looking to grow my team, I kind of put a log into her and I was like, hey, I'm looking for people who are getting certified through your program, but are not really into the business part. They just want to do the work. And so she helped me find 2 of the 3, which is amazing. Because I think, again, there's 2 parts to being a consultant. It's, do you want to just do the work and help parents and do the sleep training program, which I do, but I can't do all of that and run a business. And so there's also the like running the business side that I think when people get certified and they decide to do this, they don't always think about all of that, right? It's the like, okay, I got to create content. I got to do this email. I got to work with my bookkeeper and, create my customer management system and all of these things that go into the day-to-day and plus the client stuff. So that's why having a virtual assistant who I brought on recently is like, she's like a godsend.
That's awesome. Yeah, you can't do it all.
Yeah.
You can't. I'm all about outsourcing to where I can. And part of that is like letting go of control. I don't know about, do you guys have like, what's your personalities? Are you guys like, whatever? Or are you guys control freaks? Because I'm a control freak. I like it.
I'm an AB.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like an A-. Like I'm definitely, I feel like, I like to control things, but I know that I can't control. I'm learning.
Yeah, same.
You just gotta let it go.
Hard. It's like that Frozen song, right? Like I keep saying it in my head, let it go. But, that's like the hardest part about building a team is like letting a little bit go.
Yeah.
It's been a really important part of like this brand because when people find us, they find Meg. I mean, and not to say anything against my team. I mean, you go on Google, you see equal amounts of reviews about Jess and Sarah and Angela's newest, but I'm sure she'll be up there in no time. But when I talk to parents and they say, okay, so what does this look like? I'm transparent. Like you're going to work with one of us, but we share the same philosophies. We're certified in the same programs and you get the same experience. So like letting go of a little of bit of that and trusting my team was like a big graduation step for me. Yeah. And now I'm learning to do it with my virtual assistant and other pieces, but to grow all aspects of life, whether it be your business or even as a parent, you have to let go of things, right? Like you can't go to preschool with your kid. You got to let go of it. You can't go to college with your older, so I think it's just a natural part of evolving that I'm kind of learning. Chris says to me all the time, like, don't let perfection be the enemy of good, Meg. Like, don't, like, it's okay to put out like less than what you think is perfect.
Yes.
It's okay if there's a typo. It's okay if we're human.
I blame corporate for that aspect a little bit, but but it's true, and there is sometimes it's okay. Shit happens. Like we're okay.
100%. And it's like, it's important to remember that, we're all human. It's like, okay, who cares? It's fine.
We're all moms just trying to make it through.
We're trying to make it through. Exactly. And people say that to me all the time. And I'm sure to you guys too, like, how do you do it all? Right? Like, how do you get it all done? It's like, I kind of don't. Like, you have to let a good friend of mine, and, my doctor, I said this too, is like, we're all just juggling.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure the glass ball doesn't drop. Like, that's the thing you have to focus on. And so, in all of our lives, there's probably lots of glass balls. You just have to make sure, like, which one doesn't drop, right? Like, it's like, I didn't go to the field trip today with my kids, and like, I'm okay with that, because guess what? I went to the one a couple weeks ago, and I have to be okay with that. So it's tough, but it's like anything. There's like trade-offs. It's, I don't beat myself up if my kids have, like pancakes for dinner. I'm like, you ate. Awesome.
Exactly. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. They're happier and they actually eat. So it's a win-win.
Totally. I noticed recently too, you have been talking about, just doing more for yourself and self-care and stuff like that, and which I'm proud to hear, because it is important.
Thank you.
Like we've talked about a lot too. I think it's crucial. Honestly, if our kids want the mom to show up, cool, so I'm happy to hear you've been doing that. What are some things you've been doing for you?
Yeah. Lifestyle mood. Like, I joke, this is the year of Meg. Like, I'm not pregnant. I'm not nursing a baby. I'm like, none of those things. It's all about me. So I started working out with a personal trainer once a week, which is
awesome.
Amazing. And just like sleep training, it's like an accountability partner, right? It's someone I'm showing up to once a week, and, it's kind of like motivating me. And I've been doing bar. Do any of you guys have you done bar class?
It's so cool.
It's intense.
This was like eye-opening to me, how much of a workout this was. I don't think I ever realized it, but now I'm obsessed. So that's my newest thing. We'll see how long that lasts. But what else am I doing? Yeah, bar, personal training.
I saw you went out to lunch with a girlfriend,
and I picked up tennis. Do any of you guys do tennis?
No, but I would love to.
Pickleball. So I Chris golfs, and I'm always like so resentful. I mean, like, we're human, right? We get resentful of like the other parent or whatnot who could just be like, I'm just going to go do this. I mean, and I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love you, Chris, but because he's going to listen to this, so, and I got to pick up something for myself. So I started taking tennis lessons, and it's very humbling to learn a new skill as a 43-year-old, let me tell you. But it's so fun. If you don't play, it's like therapy. You're not thinking about anything else besides what you're doing. And I love it. So I'm doing an hour lesson a week, and it's, so cool. I mean, I'm awful. I'm like really, really bad.
You're doing it.
I look good doing it. I've got the cutest outfit.
That's the cutest.
I am telling you, part of it is getting the cute outfits to go along with these activities. Yes.
Like my dad always said, it doesn't matter how well you do something as long as you look good trying. So I'm just like channeling that.
I like that philosophy. That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with us. This was awesome. I'm so proud of you and your business, and we're gonna like share everything and obviously tag you.
You're on Instagram, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
A Restful Night.
I love the name
on Instagram. Thank you. Thank you. And we're here to help. So we're like a no judgment zone. So if of people who are trying to make some changes, not sure where to go, like, we're a good starting point.
Awesome.
Danielle.
Call me.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys. Talk to you soon. All right.
Bye.